Hello guys, welcome back to Styles by E. If you're interested in making this beautiful baby dress, just stay tuned as we begin. These are the fabric we're using for this dress. So first of all, you would need about half yard of sequins, any sequence of your choice. So I'm starting to go with this one, and then you will need a yard of what they call it, doll face satin, and then I got about 3 yards of this. You can get more if you want it to be fuller, but I got 3 yards, I think 3 or 4 yards. And then we got net, hard net, a yard, and then we got this pack of crinoline. Now I advise you, if you want to make this dress, you get the bigger size. I had to struggle with this one. So now let's get into the pattern drafting. So first of all, I went ahead to draw my baseline, which is my shoulder line, and then from there I'm gonna get all my other measurements. So I took my tape, placed it on the shoulder line, and got the half length of this dress. I measured it to be 10 inches, and when I had to draw my straight line across the marked 10 inches, as you see me doing right now on your screen. And then the next thing I'm gonna do now is to get the chest line, which is also the armhole. So I took the bust measurement, divided it by 6, and added 1.5 to it, and then I think I got about 5.5, but I decided to make the armhole 6. So I marked 6 from my shoulder point and then drew another horizontal line, as you'll see me doing. So the next thing I did was take out the measurement, the shoulders, and then after measuring the shoulder, that's divide my shoulder by 2, I came down by half and quarter of an inch, and then I marked the neckline, which is the neck width, which is 2.5, and then connected it to the shoulder slope, and then dragged that line from the shoulder slope straight to the chest line. So I went ahead to measure the bust circumference for the child, and it was 6 inches, which I marked, and then added an extra inch allowance. So what I'm going to do now is to use my curve and mark out my shoulder slope. So I placed the ruler, a place that sits between the chest line and the shoulder slope, and then I marked out the armhole, and then I'm going to come down by 3 inches to get my neck depth. Use my curve to connect it, as you see me doing. The next thing I'm going to do is to measure the waist circumference. So I went ahead to mark out the waist, and then added an extra inch allowance for that, and then added the allowance for stitching, and then I'll go ahead to connect those lines, as you'll see me doing right now on your screen. So guys, that's basically all for the back pattern. I forgot. And then next thing I went out to do is to mark out the dart. For her, I took in 2.5 inches from on both the chest line and the half length, came down by 1 inch from the chest line, then I connected it straight to the half length, and then took out half an inch on both sides, and then connect it as you'll see me doing right now. So after doing that, I'll go ahead to trim out the excess part of this pattern, and then we'll go ahead and work on the back piece. So guys, I placed the front piece on another paper and leaving about 1 inch allowance for the zipper. So I went ahead to draw a straight line, as you'll see me doing, and I'm going to label that zip. And then what I'm going to do now is to trace from the shoulder slope to the armhole and to the sides of this pattern paper, of the front pattern on the back pattern. So what I'm going to do now is to mark from the tip of the shoulders, from the neck width, and then I'm going to measure how deep I want my back neckline to be. So I decided to make it 7.5 inches, and then I decided to mark out the V neckline for the back piece. If you don't understand what I'm saying, just watch the video. I made it as clear as possible. So the next thing we're gonna do after getting our pattern is to mark in the back dart, and then go ahead to trace this pattern on the actual fabric. So I took the sequence lace and folded it into 2, and then pinned on the front pattern on the fabric, as you see me doing right now. And then I'll go ahead to cut it out with about a 1/4 inch allowance on the neckline, the shoulders, and the armhole, the sides, even as well as the the hem. Let me say hem, yeah. I just make sure I leave a bit of allowance because you will need as much as allowance as possible so you don't make a mistake. So after doing that, I'll go ahead to cut out the back piece as well, and after pinning it, I went ahead to cut it out as you see me doing right now. After cutting it out, I went ahead to open the back, the zipper allowance as you see me doing. So the next thing we're gonna do now is to cut out the satin for it. I'm going to use it as the interfacing, and I'm also going to use it as the lining. So I went ahead to cut out 2 pieces each on each part as you're seeing on your screen right now. I went ahead to open it so you see each part of this this pattern has 2-piece lining. So next thing we're going to do now is to work on is to make darts on each of the lining of on the satin. So that's what I went ahead to do. And then next thing we're gonna do is start with the front piece. So I went ahead to pick one part of the front piece, align it with the satin as you're seeing me doing right now. Then I will use the other piece to face in the rough edges. If you don't understand what I'm saying, I just did it now. Right sides facing each other when it comes to the facing and the sequence lace. So when I did that, I decided to use pin to hold in the 3 pieces of fabric together so that I'll have a firm hand when running stitches on it. So after pinning it down, I went ahead to run the stitch on my machine, and then I came back to the table and notched the neckline. I made tiny cuts along the neckline to enable it sit properly. So the next thing I'm gonna do now is to top stitch on the neckline. So all I'm gonna do now is to take the stitching I did, that's the allowance, and then top stitch it on the on the satin, or on the satin. So after doing that, this is what it looks like. I'll go ahead to iron it, and now you see that I'm trimming off the excess satin. You realize that in the whole process I did not touch the actual fabric, because the actual fabric has the actual measurement of this dress. So I'm trimming out the excess satin that I used as the lining. So after doing that, I'm going to set this aside, and I'm going to do it same thing for the back pieces. So I went ahead to align it as you see me doing, and then use another one to face in the cloth, or should I say the back piece, yeah. And then after pinning it, I'll go ahead to stitch. So guys, this is what it looks like after stitching. After stitching, I went ahead to trim some excess parts, and then I tried to flip it, and I realized that it was not sitting properly due to the sharp curve by the zipper side. So I turned it back and then notched that midpoint as you see me doing. By doing that, the whole thing will just sit properly even without ironing it, as you see me doing. So after doing this for this piece, I think I went ahead to trim out those excess lining, and then I did the same thing for the other piece. Look at it, guys. This is after ironing. Look at how flat it looks. So I'm using my scissors now to trim out those excess lining, as you see me doing right now. So after doing that, the next thing we're gonna do now is to align the back pieces together to be able to hold in the zipper allowance. Guys, all this trimming you see me doing, I'm not touching the sequence lace, I'm actually trimming off the lining. Please do not trim the fabric, the actual fabric you want to use, otherwise you temper with the measurement. So I'm just trimming off the lining, yeah. So after trimming them off, finally we'll go ahead to join the back pieces together so as to get the zipper allowance out. So guys, after getting it, we're gonna stitch it down, and then this is what it looks like. It's coming out really nice. I'll go ahead to iron it flat, And then I think next thing we're gonna do now is to attach the shoulders. So placing the front piece on the back piece, right sides facing each other, I'll go ahead to align the shoulders, arrange it properly, and then use one side of the lining to flip to the other side and stitch. Guys, if you do not understand what I'm saying, just watch what I did and then you get it. So after stitching it, guys, this is what the inside looks like, and then we'll go ahead to arrange the fabric so as to work on the sleeves. Yeah, so before going to work on the sleeves, I decided to mark out 3 inches from the midpoint to allow our ruffles to house our ruffles. So I'm taking inches left from the midpoint and 3 inches right also to make a total of 6 inches. So I'll go ahead to do that for the other side. Yeah, I went ahead to trim out. Remember, it is the lining I'm trimming out. Okay, I went ahead to trim out the excess lining and then do the same thing for the other side of the shoulders. 3 inches right and 3 inches left. So we'll go ahead to work on the ruffles. So I got this net. I think I got 4 pieces, 1 pair for one side of the shoulder. So yeah, I think it's about 3 inches by 16 inches. Yeah, so what I'm gonna do now is to head over to the sewing machine and then gather it to the length of 6 inches that was marked on the outfit. Yeah, of course. So after doing that, guys, let me show you what it looks like. This is what they both look like. So I'm going to set that aside, and then I cut out 2 straps, I think just adequate size so as to bias the armhole. So I went ahead to pin the bias from one side of the armhole to the other, and when I am done with that, I'm gonna go ahead to stitch on my sewing machine and show you guys what it looks like. So after stitching, I'll go ahead to notch the curved part so as to balance it properly. So guys, after notching it, what I'm gonna do now is to fold the bias strip. I wanted to fold it into 2, but I realized that it would be too fat, so I folded it into 3 instead to make it slimmer. Yes, so after folding into 3, I'll use my pin to hold it to secure the fold. I'll take my time to fold from one edge to another to enable it look neat and clean. So guys, when I was done folding, this is what it looks like. I'll go ahead to stitch and then show you guys what it looks like. So guys, after stitching, I did both sides and this is what it looks like. So after doing that, the next thing we're gonna do now is to attach the ruffles to the shoulders. So I'm just placing them at the point I marked. If you can't see yours, you go ahead to remark it because that's what I did. So I remarked it and then I pinned the ruffles on each side, making sure that it's settled in the middle. I did that for both sides of the sleeve. And then the next thing we're gonna do is to take my invisible thread and needle to tack that on the shoulders to enable it sit properly. So guys, after doing this, I went ahead to tack it, and yeah, after tacking this the dress, I went ahead to get some straps for the belts. Please do not forget, I forgot to mention it, but I'm going to give you the measurement of the belt. So after tacking it and making sure it was secured, I went ahead to work on the belt. So the belt, I got it to be about 2.5 inches by, should I say, it was about 16 or 12. anyone, that any preference you decide to work with is fine. So all I did is to fold it and then stitch by the sides from one side to another, and then flip the belt as you'll see me doing. So I went ahead to do that for both pieces of the belt, and then we'll go ahead to shape this dress and attach the belt to it. So guys, when I was done, next thing I'll do is to flip the outfit to the wrong side, make sure it is well laid, and then we'll go ahead to fix the belt. By fixing the belt, we're gonna first shape the dress. So the bust for my baby is 12 inches, so, and the total was about 14 or 15. So I decided to take 1 inch on each side. Initially I measured it, it wasn't enough, so I took in 1.5 inch on both sides, 1.5 inches on the bust, and then for the waist I took out 1 inches. So I'll go ahead to use my rule to connect from the bust, that's the chest line, to the waistline to get the shape the line I'm gonna run. So after doing that, now I'm gonna pin one side first, and then we're gonna attach the belt. So I didn't measure mine, so if you're doing your own, it's best to take 1 inches up from the half length. That is what I did, and fix the belt from the inside, not from the outside. So I fixed the belt and I pinned it. I went ahead to do the same thing for the other side as you're seeing me doing right now. I didn't measure that one, but please endeavor to measure it, because I had to lose this to measure it again. So after doing that, I'll go ahead to run those stitches, and guys, it's beginning to come out really nice. So I went ahead to trim out the excess fabric. I didn't trim it so close to the stitch, I just took out the rough edges a bit on both sides, and then went ahead to serge it. So after doing all that, guys, look at what it looks like. I'll go ahead to iron this, and then we're gonna work on the down pieces. Yeah. So guys, the down piece is the down part of this dress took a little bit of a different turn. I went ahead to cut the 3 yards of the net, and then I gathered it to no specific waistline. I just gathered it, and then I decided to first attach crinoline to the hem of the skirt part. So this is what I did. I advise that if you want to make this dress, you use a bigger size crinoline, and white color should be way better than it. I'm sure that will give us a better result. So I attached the crinoline to one side of it, and then I went ahead to fold it. I just attached it like a bias, and then I folded it, and then I stitched round. It took quite some time, but I was able to get that. So after doing all that, I just placed it, after attaching the crinoline, I placed it one side, and then I removed the blue fabric you're seeing. I decided to add like a lining to the net to make it fuller. So I wanted to attach the upper part to the skirt part of this dress. So I measured the waist part of the half length, and then match the same thing with the skirt part. So this is me trying to like arrange it, loosen, like make the waist of the skirt part of this dress and the half length of the top part of this dress to be equal. So I went ahead to adjust the gathers to be equal, and then I'll do the same thing for the blue that I used to line. I used a blue crepe, less than half a yard, to line the inner of this net. That's what brought about that blue effect you're seeing. So guys, after measuring it and keeping it, I picked out the blue part, and also I attached crinoline to the hem of it, and also I gathered it to be equal with the waist measurement of the net. So that's what I'm trying to do. As you're seeing me doing, I'm just trying to arrange and make sure that they are both equal. So when I was done with that, I attached the blue piece to the net part, and then I'll go to my machine or use pin to hold it. So after doing that, I set that aside to work on the lining of the skirt, the actual lining where I would attach my hard net. So I went ahead to measure it. It was as long as 1.5 yard, and I attached them by the side. I made it 1.5 yard by 12 inches. I attached the two pieces together and ran a straight stitch as you're seeing me doing. And then I went ahead to use my net to pleat it on the lining. But before doing that, I went ahead to fold one rough edge of the lining. So this is what I'll do. I'll place the net and continue to pleat it from the beginning of this lining piece to the end. So guys, this is what it looks like. It takes time. You just need to so this is what it looks like. So I'm gonna keep this aside now as well, and then try to attach the skirt to the top part. So this is what I did. I picked the top part and then notched the middle part of the half length as you'll see me doing right now. After doing that, I'll go ahead and do the same thing for the skirt. Yes, so this is the skirt part. So I'll go ahead to fold it and also notch the middle part as you'll see me doing right now. So after doing that, I'll go ahead to place them right sides facing each other. I'll go ahead to pin it to secure a firm stitch. So after pinning it round, I'll go to my sewing machine and then attach this together. And once I'm done with that, I'm gonna show you what it looks like. So guys, this is what it looks like after attaching. Look at the dress is coming out really nice. So when I'm done with attaching it, I'm going to take the lining with the hard net now to cover in the rough edges. So guys, I need you to pay attention to what I did here. After flipping it to the wrong side, I took the lining by the right side and then attached it from the top as you're seeing me doing right now, so that when I flip it, it's gonna cover in the rough edges. So when I'm attaching it, I would be pleating the lining piece to bring out this fuller effect. So guys, after doing that, this is what it looks like. Look at how neat it is in the inside. So this is what I did to cover in the rough edges as you see me showing you right now. So guys, after doing that, now I'll go ahead to iron all the pieces. You see it becomes very full and very bully, I guess. So guys, after doing this, I'll go ahead to iron everything out and then stitch the hemline. So guys, after doing that, I went ahead to use a lighter to burn out the hem of the crinoline to make it less sharp. So that's what I did for all the edges of the crinoline. Yes, as you see, I attached all the pieces from the net to the crepe to the inner lining together. So this is what I have, and now I'm gonna stitch the zipper allowance in and also attach my zipper. And then after doing that, guys, the dress is done. So thank you guys for watching. I appreciate. Please don't forget to like, follow, give me a thumbs up, and see you in my next tutorial. Bye.